Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Gold League Season 1. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left, the one and only David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA. Also, open up your browsers if you're not already on battleviewer.com. Type that in and start enjoying, because everything's better on battleviewer.com. Now, David, looking at the Twitter, we got our question of the day, which was what?
Who do you think will go undefeated this season, if anyone whatsoever?
That's right. We've already answered it, so go ahead and use that hashtag WGLNA. Let us know what you think. If you guys are just tuning in, you just missed match number 2, Team Rival versus Maple Freedom. Maple Freedom getting a great victory, 5-1 against kind of a repeat of the Silver League Season 5. But up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have eLevate versus hashtag RU2. Very prominent teams, two titans, if you will, fighting off against each other. This is going to be extremely exciting to watch. David, one thing I want to talk about, hashtag RU, looks like they're coming back. They picked up Eclipse. I've heard you speak godly of this man. It sounds like he can rival Ox Mathis in this already. But eLevate, needs to fight to hold on to this undefeated. This will be an explosive matchup here.
Well, I mean, saying that he can rival Ox Mathis is expected. In the olden days, that might have been heresy to compare Eclipse to somebody else. But
okay,
it's been a while. Who knows? And Ox Mathis does a great job, so I'm sure he's content. But let's take a look at the rosters real quick. Both teams coming out with a little bit of a change. eLevate has Swipple on their roster now, and as we are highlighting and hyping a lot of, Eclipse's debut in North America. We'll see if he's playing a regular Tier 8 on top of his artillery, but I guarantee you if we see any artillery, we'll see him in it.
Okay.
But hashtag RU is on the up and up, as you've said.
Yeah.
We've always known they have a lot of talent on that team. The question is if they can get their heads right, if they could manage themselves and their strategy enough to get it done. And so far they're doing that quite well. Maybe the addition of Eclipse will make them a little bit more focused, as he comes from a team that is well known for having a lot of discipline. eLevate still on top overall. Let's see if they can hold on to it. This might be their biggest competitor to date.
Okay, well, again, ladies and gentlemen, an exciting match. You heard it here from David Nagatron Williams himself. Let's take a look at eLevate versus hashtag RU in our third matchup. First battle on the defense. We have hashtag RU. On offense, we have eLevate. David, walk us through. What do we got for lineups?
eLevate with 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Meanwhile, hashtag RU is on defense with a 5100, 3 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and 2 LTTBs on defense. I like it. I would love to see what they're doing. But one thing to highlight, yes, it is true. Eclipse's North American debut starting off in an IS-3. That's not what I expected him to be in, but I am so excited to see him play.
Hey, Eclipse, welcome to America, man. We can't wait to see what you can do for the side of hashtag RU. Man, I made it rhyme again. I got to really stop doing this. But opening up, we have eLevate. Looks like they're pushing some pressure. Looks like they're focusing over here on this eastern cap. Now let's see if they can do what we're talking about, how important it is to get this kind of E line there in the center of Delta Village, and make sure you have that control when you go for it. And let's see if they can punish hashtag RU trying to respond to them. It looks like Dark God Zim, though, maintaining in the back. Hopefully he's not. No, he's moving. Make sure he wasn't AFK. David just sitting back there to watch for spots. Flanks, no?
That is exactly what he is back there for. Now, I think these LTTBs are going to be a huge risk for hashtag RU as they're forcing ahead, as eLevate is forcing a head-to-head, 2 IS-3s, pushing forward along the F line here. Arclit getting around on the outside. 1 in cap, MR Lee. 2 T-54 lightweights. Zone Delta and G-Force are in cap, forcing the pressure right now. I don't know if hashtag RU is a proper response for this, or even if they have the tanks to do it. Those LTTBs need to clean up Dark God Zim and come around behind to make a difference in this fight. Otherwise, it's overmatched for hashtag RU.
There we go. 10 seconds now on the clock. eLevate doing a good job putting pressure. Hashtag RU now going to go over and try to respond. Looks like Abrasive, Vakum, and Valera are going to be able to do it. A shot goes out, and a little bit of a reset there, but it goes right back down. Now Vakum getting punished for popping out. Has to get behind cover. 17 seconds now left over. Dark God Zim getting dropped low, but he is still alive. And Vakum trying to get some more shots there in that IS-3, backing out, getting a good reset, but it looks like eLevate has now decided to forget the cap as they're pushing all the way through into the Delta Village. Zone Delta going to be the first target. He's coming through. He takes a lot of damage. That T-54 lightweight. Static and Azrael pushing extremely hard on that 0 line coming through. Static dropping extremely low. One more shot. MacTep Putin will find it. and Godzilla mode coming around behind in that LTTB, but Azrael going to respond by taking back to Putin down. Zone Delta, though, getting dropped low. One more shot, and he will go down to Valera. Now Abrasive, though, coming in the corner, getting lit up and dominated from G-Forcer on the side of eLevate, but G-Forcer now going to get shot from Godzilla from the back. Gamers are going to pick it up, and now 5-3 on the side in favor of #RU going against eLevate. A great job, David, for the response of #RU going through here. Arclet getting this 2v1 getting dropped low. He's going to find Gamer before it goes down. Valera looks like he's going to be the next target, but Godzilla mode picking up Amarly. Now just 2 tanks remain on the side of eLevate. We have Azrael in this T-54 lightweight in the Delta Village. Eclipse finishing up Arclet, so now just Azrael remains. The rest of the team moving in. Godzilla pushing through. Vacuum coming around, and Azrael in that T-54 trying to make his way out of there. But he's on offense, so it's not going to be the best position for him to be in.
Wow, I would. It's going to take a while for me to really sit down and look at everything that happened there. Probably just a lot of getting outshot on eLevate's part. Those LTDBs proved to be well worth it. One breaking off to deal with Dark Odds Sim, the other pushing down the F line, not paying for it the whole way and getting a number of resets from what it looked like to me, or at least causing concern about resets. Match goes to #RU.
That's it.
Taking the lead right off the bat against eLevate.
Yeah.
Eclipse and Arclet had a little bit of a fight there in the
The
5
rivalry.
line. That's something I never thought I would see. Two other leagues coming together in the North American soil, and then having a relative one-on-one for a short period of time. Yeah. Probably just actually both teams. Let's go to stats. This is worth highlighting. This is worth looking at it.
Great.
So, eLevate, a lot of bad shots, missed shots, something along those lines, because they either didn't have the angles due to their positions, or they just didn't make things count. I would have to go back and look at every single person to really accurately speak to that, because these teams are too good for me to automatically make an assumption about something that happened. Not that anybody is so good that they can't make rookie mistakes, because I guarantee you somebody made some rookie mistakes in this whole thing on eLevate's side. Meanwhile, Vacuum loves Tafa, who, if you don't know, is an RU caster. Tafa is. 1,900 damage. Eclipse following really everybody on that team, breaking over 1,000, almost including one of the 2 LTTBs. The other LTTB doing quite a bit, almost 1,500, and yeah, that's just great sharing of damage. Ideal tanking situation for #RU there, and that's how they came out on top. They just had better cohesion, better discipline, better shooting. And other than that, both strategies that both sides were running overall top level conceptually are good. Now, how you finesse it and how you actually make it work is something that it's very hard to see for me while everything is happening live.
Sure.
But very clearly, we can assume that #RU did it better because they won. And like I said, teams like this, it takes a long time to really come down to what made the big difference. It can be one play in the overall thing.
All right. Well, let's see if they can continue this. #RU getting a first early victory against eLevate. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back into the battle number 2 of match number 3. eLevate versus #RU, same sides. Let's see what we got for lineups.
I'm going to have to do this again really quickly because I am in the habit of talking way too long when I'm excited about this. eLevate with 2 IS3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. Meanwhile, #RU with an AMX 5100, 3 IS3s, a T-54 lightweight, and 2 LTTBs again. I'm hearing shots coming out from eLevate as they're rolling. Either they're just doing that for the fun of it, or
they have so much money, it's fine.
Yeah, they're doing it for the fun of it. I mean, sometimes you can predict, or you can kind of see what they're going for. They're destroying certain targets, things that can get in the way. But in this case, I think they're just shooting because they can.
Because they're excited.
And there's no real risk to it. Same strategy coming out on eLevate's hand. 2 T-54 lightweights moving up relatively quickly. Arclet and Amarly following close behind in their IS-3s. Both LTTBs hanging back for #RU.
Yep.
Static and Azrael in their T-54 lightweights. Every single, in their, no, they're 54 lightweights. I'm doubting myself. I'm getting all confused.
Don't doubt.
All these teams, every single tank they're bringing is brought for a very specific reason. It's not like they're just thinking, we need a tank there, so let's might as well be an IS-3, right? You can tell that all of these positions have been thought out and that they all know exactly what that tank has been being brought for. And I'm liking the proliferance of IS-3s and T-54 lightweights, as we've described in the past as kind of a jack of all trades.
Okay.
And in this situation, 5100 for #RU is a great choice. The LTTBs worked out last time.
Right. But
could be a vulnerability.
But eLevate now doing a little different tactic as they're pushing back into the city. Darkozim joining the rest of those 4 members of eLevate going through. Looks like the northern cap is going to be what they're looking for. Amarali and Arclet sitting back in those IS-3s. Now, David, is this kind of one of the responses you see? Maybe eLevate was back in that situation where they knew that, okay, this is what happened last time. It didn't go so well for us. Let's try to mix it up and see if we can come out on top.
Yes, this is meta in action. It's happening right before our eyes. Arclet is, I've talked to him a little bit, and he knows how to do this kind of stuff. And this is something that both teams obviously know how to do. eLevate taking advantage of the fact those LTTBs moved out of position, but #RU already recognizing that they have a gap in their defense, sending the LTTBs back to make sure that they are okay, finding out a little bit too late that they're not. They can try and dive on those IS-3s, but where those IS-3s are right now for eLevate are a distraction on purpose. They're trying to get you to come after them, to tie you up so that you can't go handle the defense.
Wow.
And this is already looking very much in eLevate's favor. #RU's going to have to fight their way out of this one.
Let's see if they can do it. T-54 lightweight abrasive coming in hot, trying to see if he can find the cap because they need to do it quickly. 11 seconds now down. eLevate doing a great job putting that pressure. #RU now on the move, running into this little village here. Stack doing a good job taking abrasive out. Game is ready, coming around the corner. He's just going straight for that base. Gets a nice shot off, gets a little bit of the reset, but it's still down to 11 seconds as we have so many members on. There's the reset. Zone Delta getting blown up. 720 points of damage, and Wk3 Putin gonna find G-Forcer. Static though. Finding game is rigged. A good little back and forth exchange there. #RU doing a good job sort of resetting the cap pressure. And Vakoom finding Zone Delta there. Now it is a 5-on-6 though in favor of #RU, but a lot of damage. Look at this coming out from the side of #RU or eLevate against #RU. Abrasive, Godzilla mode, both extremely low. One more shot and they will go down. Azrael doing a great job just kind of sitting here, but Valera finding Emerald. They keep dropping the tanks where they're finding these matchups. Valera and that IS-3 going to try to move away now as Arclet full health in that IS-3 over there sitting back. Vakoom, Godzilla mode, abrasive, Wk3 Putin, Eclipse now kind of bunching up here against this village. eLevate getting off of the cap pressure. They have Dark Godzim there and Static kind of backing off, trying to find him, but Vakoom finding Azrael. Now just 3 tanks remain for the side of eLevate, who are, you know, not looking super strong here against #RU.
Yeah, that was a lot of fumbling going on there. Now, a 5100 is always going to pack a huge punch. I would not be surprised to see Putin having done a lot here. Arclet would have to pull some magic out of his hat in order to get this done. Valera doing a great job. In general, #RU being very smart about not over-responding to those tanks in the south, which are there, as I said, as a trade. They're there, so you should get them, right? Technically, but #RU just stayed on the 0 line, got the resets, focused on their priorities, knowing that the IS-3s could not do too much damage to them as long as they took certain angles. I think the IS-3s, Arclet and Emarly probably could have gotten more damage in, but I couldn't see their position the whole time, so I can't accurately discuss that whatsoever. The stats will tell us the story of this one, but for me, it looks like #RU was in an inferior strategic position and just fought their way out.
There we go, Godzilla mode picking up Arclet. Now just Static and Dark Godzim remain for the side of eLevate, who are on, again, the attack, so they can't just run and hide, but it looks like #RU are not going to give it to him. Dark Godzim picking up Godzilla mode, who tried to get a little aggressive, trying to find him. Now Wk3 Putin in that 5100 firing across, trying to get Dark Godzim here. Dark Godzim trying to respond back. Abrasive, who was extremely low in that T-54 lightweight, coming in, trying to get some shots again as they try to collapse on the 2 remaining members. We have Valera, sitting in the back, extremely smart, knowing that if anything does go sour, he still has time to kind of run and get out of the way, but it doesn't look like it's going sour at all as Vakoom finds Static, and now just Dark Godzim remains. 1:15 left. Nothing he can do as #RU is going to come in. Sharks to blood going in this position. Eclipse going to go around the IS-3, finds it, picks it up, and another win for #RU here against eLevate on Ruinberg. Now, David, let's talk a little bit about that, because I like what you pointed out, how #RU didn't overextend when eLevate put that pressure on the northern cap. We had the 2 LTTBs running over. I mean, they were going fast. They knew, like you said, they had a kind of a hole in their defense. But the moment the cap pressure happened, they just like slammed on the brakes, turned around, and went away.
A lot of teams drive right across the field to get there as quickly as possible because they panicked too much. #RU took the bulk of their forces up into the 0 line, and they didn't come back up and over the A with it. They kept them back in the 0 line where they could fire both ways. And they could handle anything that came from them. They didn't overextend, like you said, like we both said, to those IS-3s.
Yeah.
That was one of the most critical parts. I don't think the IS-3s, Arclet and Emerly, did enough damage from where they were quickly before we run out of time. And I hate seeing that phrase over and over again. Let's go to stats. Master Putin. I'm going to stop trolling you. And for everybody who's been wondering why I call him Maktap Putin, it's because I know him, and I'm doing it on purpose just to troll him. Master Putin, you've earned your real name back. 12 shots, 10 hits, 7 penetrations overall. Not the most penetrations ever. I wouldn't doubt if there was a ram in there somewhere. But nearly 2,500 damage. Super critical in this situation. Valera Desolator coming out right behind him. 6 shots, 6 hits, 6 penetrations. Overall, I'm starting to wonder if perhaps #RU's tank lineup itself is just fundamentally better against defending against what eLevate was doing there. Now, that's not something we often see in WGLNA. It's a very high level of planning that not a lot of teams like to get into.
Okay.
But that 5,100, 2 LTTBs, that's a lot of DPM that they're adding to this situation. There's a very good chance that eLevate had borderline no chance to fight their way out. If anything close to a head-to-head happened, provided they didn't get a pickup on an LTTB or something like that just to start everything off.
Wow, so a lot of mind games and higher level plays just coming into these matchups between these two sort of veteran Titan teams. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our next matchup. #RU having 2 victories already against eLevate. Let's see if eLevate can hold now. They are the ones on defense. #RU on the offense. David, walk us through what we got for tanks.
I'm loving this match more and more every moment. AMX 5100, 3 IS-3, a T-54, and 2 LTTBs for eLevate on defense. Apparently, well, they've already run it, so that's no big surprise. And they did pretty well with it. Meanwhile, #RU, 2 IS-3s, 2 1390s, 2 T-54 lightweights, and a VK2801. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills right now. But with the way they're playing, I can pretty much guarantee you that those 2 1390s are going to get into a position where their shots are going to be very important, as essentially like a diet 5100. They have a worse gun. They're worse in every way to a 5100, aside from the fact that they're faster and smaller. That's it.
Now, looking at the side, Abrasive coming out here, get a little bit of damage taken on from eLevate, but eLevate is spending a lot of members up there in that northern area of the map. Obviously, #RU being the ones to try to push extremely readily down here, grabbing that 0 line, as we were saying, and just kind of pushing up with their entire force. Looks like Eclipse and Vacuum sitting in the back, I believe, in those AMX 100s, I believe it is. Yep. And the IS-3s. Excuse me. The IS-3s back there, Eclipse and Vacuum, and Abrasive. Now, David, watching this kind of lineup, we have them in the back. So will it be #RU trying to put some cap pressure on and drawing eLevate out? Because it looks like eLevate set up pretty well to kind of punish Abrasive if he tries to make a move forward.
That looks like the overall posture thing. My question is, how are they going to get on cap if they didn't do it immediately?
Sure.
Perhaps they're getting some blind fire out. I know we've played a lot of blind fire in this map in particular. Arclet taking quite a bit of damage from Akum and at least one other person. And these are predictable spots. You know if they're spotting you. We talked in the past about deductive reasoning. If you're getting spotted, you don't necessarily need to see where your opponent is directly. You can infer where they are based on the angle which they spotted you. #RU perhaps having done their homework here, knowing they can fire into certain angles to make themselves the space to move on to cap, or there's a chance that going on a cap isn't even a part of their strategy right now, and they're just trying to get enough of a lead to overwhelm eLevate with higher hit points and attack. But if higher hit points are what they're after, they're starting inherently very far
very
down.
low, yeah.
With 7,600 left, 8,300 left for eLevate. As opposed to, like we're saying, 7,600 left for #RU. They just didn't bring as many hit points to start out, so they have a big hole to dig themselves out of, and it's going to be tricky to strategically get themselves in positions to do that. Doesn't mean it's impossible, and right now I've seen no reason to have not to lose faith in #RU's ability to work some magic right now. Vacuum loves Tafa moving up 1 row of buildings. Down here in the 6th line. Incrementally, 1 by 1, as soon as you know the space. This is just classic bounding, how you gain control, which is what this is all about. This game is all about cordoning off areas, making sure you have vision and control over them, and that your enemy doesn't, so that you can come out on top when you choose the engagement that you want to force. Now he is moving into a window or the ability to move into a window that can be very strong as it can fire on where Zone Delta is. It's a little bit open to getting shot from very particular angles, but if Vakum can get into this window that is just north of him, he can set up an amazing push from #RU. But one thing we definitely want to notice is over here in the east side.
Yeah, Master Putin.
Putin in Godzilla mode in 1390s taking control of the zero line. eLevate has no control over that. In fact, they have multiple tanks still back in the A line, probably due to some sort of concern about what #RU has up their sleeve, because 1390s leaves a lot to worry about. If they get behind you, it's a big problem. Cap pressure coming out, Godzilla mode and Putin in great position to capitalize on it. Static's kind of out in the open. If Eclipse and Vakum get on top of him with Valera Desolator where he is right now, I'm telling you, #RU is looking great to take this unless eLevate can come back across that field without paying for every inch.
Man, well, like you said, though, but T-54 lightweight, abrasive, he had that cap pressure as you're talking about, but now just kind of backing it off as Master Putin, as we're calling him, getting some serious damage on the static, a little bit out of place, backing up there. That T-54 lightweight, Valera now almost right into him. The health going in favor of Valera. Let's see, though, if the damage is coming out. A good chunk, 250 points of damage coming out there. And now Zone Delta finding Valera, who's all back there by himself. A good little pickup for eLevate, and now the cap pressure back on for #RU.
There's a good chance that wasn't actually against what #RU wanted. They know if any tanks get caught up going into the F line that they've opened up a hole someplace else.
There they go.
That might be their strategy overall. MRLE is getting caught. Multiple tanks diving on top of him. This could be a chain reaction that leads to another #RU victory.
That's right. Lots going on here. MRLE getting extremely low. And Vakum and Eclipse doing some good damage. Gamers are picking up MRLE here. And now these two IS3s battling out against the three IS3s. G-Force are static, and Dark Goes now making their way finally to the battle. Let's see if #RU can clean this up quickly before they have anything to say. Azrael getting extremely low. Good crossfire there. Master Putin gonna finish that one, picking up a Zone Delta, gonna respond by taking Eclipse down in that IS-3. Now we have Arclet, Zone Delta, Dark God Zim, G-Forcer, and Static coming through, moving as one, trying to find Vakum. Let's see if Abrasive or Master Putin or Godzilla can find Arclet before it goes down. Zone Delta getting low. Vakum doing a great job. Abrasive finding Arclet. Dark God Zim, though, finding Vakum, and now it is a 4-on-4, but the health in favor of eLevate. 2,700 against 1,200 as Static picking up Game is rigged. Now it is a 4-on-3. #RU getting pushed out of the Delta Village. But Master Putin and Godzilla almost done reloading in those AMX 1390s. Let's see if they can make all those shots count. They're going to need it if they're going to come back from this one. Dark Godzim going around getting really aggressive, trying to find a pickup on the three remaining tanks of #RU here. Zone Delta pushing up. Now Abrasive taking 253 points of damage against Static there. Dark Godzim taking a shot, just missing. Zone Delta popping out, but G-Force are going to pick up Abrasive. eLevate looks like they're going to be the one to finish it out. They are on defense. Just 57 seconds to men. Here comes the push for #RU, running right in, going down quickly. Master Putin, and now just Godzilla remains. The shots left. Nothing he can do here against these four members of eLevate. A good decisive pickup there, getting one victory on the map. Zone Delta find the pickup. Godzilla going down, and like we're saying, eLevate picking one up against 1-2 now. #RU. Let's talk about a little bit what we saw there, because you said it looked like it was going to be in favor of #RU, maybe superior positioning, but those three tanks coming out of the city, it looked like they really helped out. I mean, they made it just in time on the side of eLevate.
To be accurate, what I was saying is it could be what they're looking for in order to extend that lead.
Gotcha.
Now, they picked up a 5100 for it, but they gave up some key positions in the Delta Village that led to that comeback. Once eLevate took control of the southern side, and they hadn't gotten all the way out of it in the north, and they had lost a lot of their zero-line presence, then over half of that village was under eLevate's control, and it's pretty much over at that point. Every isolation that #RU got was answered by at least one from eLevate. eLevate, while they did go into the F-Road and pick up a 2801, and perhaps that was what #RU wanted, eLevate compensated very well, understanding that many of their tanks were out of position and starting to pivot and get it done as quickly as possible. But what I saw there being the biggest influence on the overall match was the fact that #RU brought less hit points from the get-go. And that came back to haunt them. I don't think – that's not to say that they need to upgrade – those 1390s and 5100s or something. What they were doing with those 1390s couldn't be done with 5100s. I would just say that it was great play from both teams, and eLevate had the better lineup. I would not even get a whole lot of mistakes from either side. Just good decisions, better lineup on eLevate's side, and they're defending, so they already have the advantage.
I mean, it seems like coming down, when we get into this kind of sort of maybe higher level of play, it comes less down to the sort of play-on-play. The match is almost decided before it even starts with these lineups.
It can be to some extent, as both teams you know, there's like when you come across that kind of thing as a mid-level team or even high-level team, sometimes you can realize what the enemy team is trying to do with it, and then counter it. Make sure they don't get what they want. Right.
Sure.
Both teams denying the other team what they wanted. It all kind of balanced out in the long run, and went to eLevate obviously with a stronger lineup, as you said. And I wouldn't say it's over from the start, but we'll see how #RU adjusts to that, because we got a battle on our hands.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, our fourth battle of the night, eLevate versus #RU. Let's see if eLevate can tie it up 2-2 before going into our next map. #RU still on the offense, eLevate on the defense. Let's take a look at the lineups, David. What do we got?
eLevate with 1 5100, 3 IS3s, a T54 lightweight, and 2 LTTBs, which is quickly becoming a staple for a Runeberg defense. Meanwhile, #RU with 1 5100, 2 IS3s, a 1390, 2 T54 lightweights, and a T37. So closing some of that HP gap with a 5100, taking away 1 1390. You know, just from my layman's perspective is how I feel watching these guys right now. That is an improvement, the 5100, but it's really going to depend on how they use it. Looks like they're all setting up down the F road for perhaps some easy shots to begin with. eLevate consistently sending Static here by himself, advanced to this position, and not leaving a whole lot to help him there. And that's the situation where if he gets pushed on, they're willing to sacrifice him, and they know how they'll respond to take advantage of whatever had to go there to kill him.
Okay.
Right? So they know full well that he's a risk, but it's a balanced risk that they're handling someplace else. #RU is feeling out the appropriate angle to attack here, I feel, because obviously what they did last time didn't work. They're pushing all across the AB line, and let's see if they can get it done.
Zone Delta getting a lot of damage there on Valera, and that T37, one more shot. He's going to go down. Let's see if he can make it in a gun. He gets stuck on the tree, but luckily gets out in time. Again, the response for #RU, beautiful coming out. Good crossfire against Dark Gods in there in that LTTB. We looked at this being kind of the staple push of this Northern Cap. When you go through, you got to go through and send them hard. As game is rigged and abrasive going against this village here. Static though, and Arclet doing a good job getting some crossfire in there. Just a little bit caught out there, and #RU losing a member as they put pressure onto the cap into that northern side. They got 3 members on, down to 27 seconds. Zone Delta, Amerly and Dark Gods in though, trying to respond, getting shots onto Eclipse over there in that IS3. Gaming Straight going head to head with Zone Delta, trying to find the backup. But again, Arclet and Static and G-Forcer getting the shots from the side, and not a good position to be in. Arclet on the reload, Eclipse dropping extremely low. Now there's the resets, and Amerly and Zone Delta finding back-to-back kills against Eclipse, and game is rigged for the side of #RU. eLevate having all 7 members, now just down to 4 members for #RU. Not a lot of time. It was 20 seconds left. Vakum finding Emerly. Zone Delta, though, picking up Valera. Only 1 tank dropping. And it looks like G-Forcer and Static going through. Godzilla mode getting a good pickup on the Dark Gods in there. But now Arclet and Vakum going head-to-head. Zone Delta doing a great job picking this up. Godzilla mode in that 1390. Unloading his last shots onto Zone Delta as he makes it away. Vakum in a lot of trouble here. Arclet, 1 more shot, and he will go down. But Zone Delta going to pick it up. Getting Zone Delta, though, extremely low before it goes down. Now just Godzilla and Putin on the run. In the 1390 and 5100, only a couple shots for Putin as G-Forcer, Static, and the rest of the members of eLevate start collapsing. G-Forcer and that LTTB as we're talking about, going through, doing a great job, making sure the escape for #RU just isn't there. The shots going out, and actually nothing hitting. Finally, one connecting for the side of eLevate. G-Forcer getting a little bit of damage to the Godzilla mode. Putin getting separated from his teammate. And now this should just be the cleanup as we see the rest of the heavy tanks running in. Those IS-3s pushing and looking extremely daunting, going through Godzilla mode on the reload, getting some shots out. 1 more shot, getting a miss. G-Forcer getting the shot in. Now, it looks like both extremely low. Godzilla, 1 more shot. No, 2 more shots. He will go down. But Godzilla will find G-Forcer before he's down. But here's the response. The IS-3s are here. The cavalry has come. Putin not in the best position as he goes down quickly. Now 1 more tank remains. Godzilla mode. eLevate. Looks like they're doing a great job. Gonna pick it up 2-2. Getting this tiebreaker here on the map. Static finding him at T54 lightweight, and there it is. A good tie to come out. A great matchup so far between both these teams. Now we're telling you, it should be even. These are some of the highest teams we're playing right now in this Gold League. David, let's talk about what you kind of saw there, because we saw #RU doing what I don't see a lot of teams doing. Usually if they go for the Northern Cap, they start pushing immediately, or if they go for that Eastern Cap, they start pushing immediately. But #RU kind of stayed around the city. You know, what was that for?
They're just trying to see if anybody from eLevate moves into that F road closer to the village.
Okay.
And if they see them, then they can light them up and get an easy pick right off the bat, and that pretty much wins the match from if they know what to do from there. So knowing full well that they don't really need to get into the southeast quickly, they go there before they go northwest.
Okay.
I might say that posting up in the F road may be kind of an indicator of where you're intending to go. It's harder to get into the southeast, I feel, than it is to get into the northwest late. Get into each one of them late, right?
Makes sense.
But you don't really want to get into either one of them late because it's very important.
Well, you saw what happened.
But the north, it can actually be beneficial to get into late sometimes. Like, it's a very complicated thing. But sometimes, you know, as we've seen, we saw #RU leave it.
Yep.
And then came back. So perhaps that's kind of what #RU was hoping eLevate would do in that instance. But what I saw there was stellar defensive positions from eLevate and a lot of very nice shots. Those LTTBs chiming in a reasonable amount of damage. In fact, GeForcer putting up 1460 in his LTTB.
Wow.
That tank pays off if you get it in a sniping situation. But overall, I mean, great shooting by everybody who had shots. For #RU, unfortunately, 4 of their tanks really didn't, and that's what it comes down to. They were just on cap, and everybody else was easily isolated and picked off from these better angles that Arclit and GeForcer and company had in the village, firing down into where Abrasive and his fellow 54 was. Abrasive perhaps a little bit too high. And not low enough in the valley there, but the way eLevate made that look as though it's easy, just easy to defend the A6 position is something I don't expect we'll see very frequently. However, if teams who struggle with Ruinberg at all should be studying how these teams are defending, because both teams just swept their defensive sides 2-0 for an ultimate result of 2-2.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. As David said, we're all tied up as eLevate and #U move on to the next map, which is Himmelsdorf, I believe. eLevate going to be on the defense, #U on the offense. Let's take a look and see which team can start maybe pulling out a little bit of a victory. We're into our next matchup, ladies and gentlemen, right into the battle. Let's take a look at David. What do we got for tanks?
All right, well, #RU started on defense on Ruinberg, but eLevate starts on defense on Himmelsdorf. Now is when they want to extend that lead, or create a lead to 4-2. And how are they going to do it? Apparently with two 5100s, 3 IS-3s, a T-32, and a T-37. #RU with 2 5100s, 4 IS-3s, and an AMX-12T on assault.
Looking at #RU there, this opening lineup, we see eLevate, talking about Himmelsdorf, this northern cap being a good place to defend. Arclit going over there to that A1 position. But Valera, going kind of by himself up that 7 line. And we have these 4 tanks over here from #RU. Now, David, does this show that they are very interested? This is kind of the setup here. What is this setup doing? They're looking right down, that 6 line.
They're just making sure that they can see anything as it moves. Dark God Zim's position over there can give a reasonable amount of intel down the 6 line, as you said, somewhat into the G line, and depending on his exact position in these windows, he can actually kind of see the 8 line, but it doesn't look like he's actually going for that at the moment. #RU running an interesting strategy, getting spotted by Dark God Zim in the 5 line. Now that is something that you don't see happen too often, but is exactly why Dark God Zim was where he was. Abrasive all the way up on the hill, trying to capitalize on Dark God Zim, running there, taking a couple shots into him, getting a couple more shots into GeForcer from what it looks like to me. G getting around the corner, Abrasive coming out on the rough side of that whole thing at 547 hit points. Now, I know the pain of what Abrasive just went through very well.
Trying to pick up that 1 kill, but getting punished for it?
It's a great spot on top of the hill.
Okay.
All right? You can fire down in the D line. You can, from relative safety. Here's the problem, though. When you play against teams that know that spot as well as these teams do, there's a way of lining up your shot where you don't even have to see Abrasive. You're like, oh, we're taking damage from hill?
He's here.
Let me aim right here and click. And then Abrasive gets shot right in the face. And I generally avoided going there unless, unless I knew I was going to get some sort of kill or get enough damage on it. But I always bugged out.
A little bit of fight going on here. Going to interrupt you. T-32 static, taking a lot of damage from Valera, and game is over. Trying to find a good little overmatch here in Godzone mode from the back. Getting some good support. Look at the T-32 will go down. Game is rigged. Going to find that kill. eLevate losing a tank at 4 minutes and 25 seconds left. Some shots going in for GeForce there, name at 5100 now. Looking at hashtag you getting that pickup, well, what does that spell for them? Because it looks like now they get to push up relatively with ease.
Yeah, it looks to me as though the T-32 position for eLevate got a little bit predictable. I mean, they've been putting it there for a while. So hashtag RU came with some sort of response. Now, either they knew it would be there already or they had a pretty good idea and Abrasive confirmed it when he was up there.
Okay.
But that is one major Tier 8 gone. I mean, we've seen him there before doing upwards of 2,000 damage from that position, holding down the D-line and denying that mobility to the other team, which is what it's all about. You're cordoning off a whole part of the map that they have to pay for every inch for. They didn't pay that much for that.
Now that it's gone.
Not really. I mean, they gave up some hit points on Game is Rigged, and they gave up some hit points on Abrasive before that, but it certainly does not equal to a full Tier 8 being down, as I would take half off of 2 tanks before I would lose 1 tank, just because you still have 2 guns and the other guy doesn't.
Sure. As we see Abrasive now moving off the hill, going to rejoin the rest of the team. Kazo sitting back there in that K2 line, just kind of hanging out. He knows that his team is in no imminent danger, but here comes the push. Hashtag are you moving up Putin and Valera. IS3, 5100 going against Darkotzem, who is probably about 1 shot. I'm going to stop saying 1 shot, because when I say 1 shot, they take 2, but probably 1 more shot there in that T-37. Oh, good. Yay. Nagatron confirms 1 more shot. Cap pressure has been applied to Godzilla mode in a great position there. No easy way for eLevate to get to them as hashtag U is just getting set up. Kazo coming in, that AMX-12T going to set up for the defensive position for hashtag U. And hashtag U looking like they are in a great setup here to defend this cap points they're putting pressure on.
So they moved up in that area and they looked east to make sure there was nothing on the B6 corner, B7 corner to deny them this kind of cap pressure. Now, there wasn't. So the really only angle that eLevate can take is what they're doing now, trying to go through the D-line, ideally into the courtyard, not getting trapped into the D-line itself.
Okay.
Often known as the death line for many reasons. In fact, they're going even further south than that. Well, but I don't know how wise that bit is.
Right.
But hashtag RU is a little bit stuck with their tanks in the 5 line. And if they get engaged from both sides with it, they'll get on really quickly. But
wow, a lot of damage coming out there from the sole members, or 3 members from hashtag RU. Valera Desolator finding Darkotzem over there. A great pickup, and now just 8 seconds remain on the clock. eLevate, our hashtag RU doing a great job putting pressure on. eLevate need to respond quickly, but I'm not sure they're going to have enough time. It's just now down 2 more seconds. They're pushing in on those tanks, but it's not going to be fast enough. The cap is at 0. Valera also finding Azrael, and hashtag RU picking up a victory on offense on Himmelsdorf against eLevate here. I mean, we were talking about this is what eLevate needs to kind of extend that lead, but hashtag RU denying it from them. I thought it was really smart. Once some time, we had hashtag RU putting some pressure on the cap, eLevate not responding, and they're like, hey, we're going to put 2 tanks on to make sure you have to come quicker, but you're in those heavy tanks. IS3 is not the fastest. I mean, David, walk me through what you kind of saw there, some of the highlights for you.
So they were holding back Kazo. Hashtag was holding back Kazo in his 12T for a little bit more spotting, but as soon as, like you said, it started getting to a certain point in the match, they just blitzed him on the cap.
Yeah.
Getting a word here that eLevate just took a timeout. Very, very important. Now, before we get too far in anything, I think now this is the only thing that makes sense to me. I think that eLevate may have forgotten about some of the cap changes that went on at Himmelsdorf there. I think they lost their Tier 8. They pulled into some sort of reflexive standard defense they've done before.
Okay.
And as soon as the cap pressure went on, they were like, oh, I forgot about that corner. And we are screwed. We are way out of position. And they were. I don't know what response they could have had that would have been better than what they did, aside from doing it faster.
Sure.
And not exposing those guys in the B line with no backup whatsoever. That needed to happen simultaneously, but due to the cap pressure, everything got off kilter. Great move by hashtag RU. Perhaps they could have gotten out of the exact position they got themselves in the 5 line a little bit better, but it paid off for them. And it's not going to pay off like that every single time, but great pick to start the whole thing off.
Yeah.
Abrasive got rather dominated the whole thing, but Valera Desolator got nearly 2,000 damage from what I saw. eLevate just didn't have an angle into the fight.
Sure.
And that's a huge strategic win for hashtag RU. Both teams so far have won their matches on defense, right?
Right.
Except except this one.
Right.
Where hashtag you just snipe one on offense, and that could be everything they need to win. If both teams play defensively perfect
goes
from
into a
here
tie.
on out,
Right.
it would have gone into a tie.
But now
it would result in a hashtag RU win.
I'm getting this. I'm starting to figure this out. This is great. But yeah, again, congratulations for that really early victory. One thing I also want to point out is how we're noticing some teams not taking timeouts, right? So teams dropping, let's say losing 3 matches in a row, but just continuing to fight. Why is it that they don't take timeouts when it seems that in the past it makes sense?
Just oversight. There's a number of reasons to take a timeout. It's to give yourself a breather, but it's also to cool off the other team, as it's known. When they're on a hot streak.
Right, let them chill.
Just chill them out. Let them sit there. Let them get off whatever high they're on.
Sure.
And slow down, and maybe you can come back, because there's always a little bit of doubt in your mind. You're dominating them, you've got them engaged, and then they get a little breather, and then you're like, oh man, maybe we don't have that advantage anymore. And if eLevate can come back from it, all they need to do is hold on defense.
Yep.
And then get one win on offense.
Yeah.
And they're at least going to tie it up at that point in time. But right now is the most critical battle they could possibly have.
Yeah. Whew, let's see if they can pull it out. Let's see if that timeout was worth it. eLevate versus hashtag RU. One more time. eLevate's going to be on the defense. Like David said, it looks like they're really going to need this win to make sure that they have any sort of chance of beating hashtag RU tonight. We're right into the battle, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it and take a look at what we got for our tanks.
eLevate with 2 5100s, 3 IS3s, a T32, and an AMX-12T. Hashtag RU with 2 5100s, 4 IS3s, and an AMX-12T. Hashtag RU took out the last defensive strategy eLevate had. Can eLevate adjust? We'll find out shortly. I'm very interested to see what hashtag RU's new strategy is, or if they're going to run the exact same thing again.
Sure.
But already, eLevate looks different.
Yeah, coming out here, a lot more presence over onto that, the 1-2 line in the west there for eLevate, sending now no tanks for the north, and a similar lineup, actually almost the identical lineup for hashtag RU here. Looking at how eLevate is almost reading their team, do you think that eLevate's current position shows that they have the upper hand here?
Well, yes. So far, yes. Now, one thing I want to point out is this is very, very likely superior meta understanding by Arclit.
Okay.
Last round, we saw hashtag RU assault one way, and then assault the other way. Now, if they're staying with that pattern, and almost everybody has a pattern, unless their pattern is just to be random, which
which isn't a pattern, right?
Semantics. Then he can safely assume that they are moving a little bit more south. They did move a little bit more south. However, they're peeling off and flexing back in the 8 line, but 2 of their tanks may be trapped, getting ready to get in the courtyard. I'm hoping this isn't going to slip too far past eLevate. I say hope because I want to see this go longer.
Sure.
That's it. I just want to see them play all
the
night.
Titans battle, the battle of the immortals going out here. Macjab Putin and Eclipse in these IS3s pushing up. They are spotted, as well as Arclit. Now Kazo and Abrasive again back in their positions on the hill. Godzilla mode. Following along is Game is Rigged and Valera pushing onto that 7 line. One thing we did talk about how important it is. Shots going out. Dark God Zim taking a lot of damage there, and then AMX-12T. He is on the reload. Not quite sure where that damage came from. I believe it was on top of the hill. And now he's in a little bit of trouble. Game is Rigged, though, getting some damage in response, coming through the courtyard. And now shots going out back and forth. Zone Delta missing a shot, as well as Godzilla mode. And Amarly, Arclit, and Ezreal over on this west side fighting against Putin and Eclipse, who are now just kind of hunkered down here in this broken house on Himmelsdorf. Now, David, Kazo sitting in the back. When do you think we're going to start to see him move to help his team out?
There's no real need for him to move right now. I want to highlight really quickly Arclit and Eclipse and Putin having a fight through some of this rubble here in the G line. This is a lot of teams use this. Nice bounce off Arclit's turret right there. So far, it's relatively equal, although more than one tank is shooting at Arclit. So he's holding his own and then some. He and Eclipse have both traded one shot. Eclipse taking more damage from Amarly.
Absolutely, coming around behind. A great little setup there as he's in that 5100, getting two of his 4 shots in, only one hitting. But Godzilla mode finding Dark Run Zim over there on the D line, and cap pressure being applied. Let's see how eLevate can respond to this. as they are not, I mean, I shouldn't say they're not in position. These teams are so, well versed. They know exactly what to do here. But they were, over here a lot of resources on the western side. Let's see how they can respond to a northern cap. Now 2 tanks on, down to 40 seconds here for #RU. Let's watch the movement as it ensues. Abrasive coming down. That's about to be a 3rd tank on here. They need to get back, and they need to get back quickly. Looks like Static going to be the one to try to find the first reset. There's a 3rd tank on. It is now down to 17 seconds. eLevate need to find a response, and they need to start rushing this as the clock keeps going down. Zone Delta going around the corner, finding damage against. Game is rigged. Azrael trying to find the response, but is now down to 9 more seconds. Static and G-Forcer have to find this rush. They have to do it quickly. Arclit getting a good pickup on Eclipse down there in the south, and now it's Arclit and Emily against Master Putin. Getting the reset, exactly what they needed. G-Force are coming up, but now it's a 3v2. Let's see if #U can turn this around. G-Force is getting a lot of damage on Valera there, who is going extremely low. Game is finding Zone Delta. Static picking up Valera, and the resets are coming out. Now it is a 2-on-2. Abrasive finding G-Forcer. Static needs to find Kazo to make this worthwhile up on top. Static is going to find him, and now it is a 1-on-1. The AMX 5100, who just used his last shot, and is now going to be on the run from Static, who is going to have free reign over him for a solid amount of time here. Down here, a little south, it's Game Reserve finding Azrael, and now it is Amar Lee in this 5100, who almost is fully reloaded against 3 low tanks for #RU. Here comes the first shots out. Game Reserve going through. 1 shot going down. 1 more shot going across, but it misses. That is not what Amar Lee is looking for in this AMX 100. A 2nd shot missing as well, and Godzilla mode picking up, it looks like through the rubble. Now just 1 tank remained for eLevate. #RU looks like they're going to pick up another victory on offense here. Abrasive in that 5100 now, almost on the reload. Just going to try to find Static, be a nuisance to him as the rest of #RU close in on his position.
Abrasive getting to finish off what he started in his original brawl with Static. Coming back with a full clip, rip Static.
Wow.
There wasn't a chance he would pull that one out. I mean, 5100 versus T32.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's excluding the rest of the tanks that are on the field.
Coming to kill him as well.
GG #RU.
Whew.
I wish we could have had 15 cameras.
I know, there was so
and
much
shown
happening.
every little angle of everything that was going on there. We tried our best to cover it for you. The most critical thing was seeing that cap reset. In the south, the battle was already starting to tilt towards #RU as soon as cap pressure was put on, and eLevate had to start responding. That was a very confusing situation for eLevate to be in. I saw the strategy they were going for, and it made a lot of sense. And then #RU started capping on him, and I think it's just too much to handle. It's too much.
Happening
too
at once.
staggered. There's not a clear, cohesive vision there that makes it predictable like you typically see.
Yeah.
There's still a vision there, and it makes a lot of sense. But let's look at stats, because there was a lot of micro fights going on in that situation. Arclit doing the best for eLevate with 8 hits, 5 penetrations. A lot of that going on through the windows. Everybody else roughly kind of in the same bracket with Dark God Zim. Not really squeezing anything in. It's a 12T. That's okay. Meanwhile, Godzilla mode. 10 shots, 9 hits, 7 penetrations with his IS-3. Whew. Game is rigged. Similar results. 2200 roughly. Abrasive getting in 2 clips. 1701. Just great tanking. Great positioning from #RU.
Yeah.
All around a better strategy in somewhat of a controlled chaos thing, right? They knew how many, and a lot of teams focus on this like a 4-man and a 3-man fight.
Yeah.
Not trying to split up into too many prongs. #RU was extremely comfortable with 4 prongs going on.
Fighting
There is
on
what
the
it
same
looked
time.
like to me.
Yeah.
And knowing that each one that they had was going to be able to handle it, perhaps just even saying an equal match is favored towards us because we've been tanking well and better throughout the entire thing. But #RU winning both on offense.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, well, let's
Utterly
see.
Huge.
Like David's saying, such an amazing victory. #RU just needing 1 more victory on this battle against eLevate to take it for the night. Just it. Let's see if eLevate can hold on. But they are on offense. It's going to be a miracle they can pull this off. We're right into it. Our 3rd match, ladies and gentlemen. eLevate versus #RU. Like we're saying, eLevate on the offense, #RU on the defense. David, what do we got for tanks?
eLevate with 2 5100s, 4 IS-3s, and a T-37 to try and bring home a victory for them and keep themselves in the fight. Meanwhile, #RU running the exact same thing. 2 5100s, 4 IS-3s, and a T-37. As long as this is forced into a tank-on-tank, I'm comfortable saying that #RU has the advantage as they've been playing significantly better in their tanks overall. Perhaps significantly is too strong of a word, but I mean, it's not overreaching that much.
Sure, and like we were talking about, with the exact same lineups, it really does come down to individual player skill and strategy. So this would be an extremely fun match to watch, because if eLevate can pull this out, that is going to be a huge ego boost for them and a huge weight off their shoulders. But #OU in the defensive stance sitting pretty. 4 wins, 1 more will take it down. Let's talk about what we kind of see from these opening moves from both teams. It seems as if eLevate doing a very similar response as what #OU was doing when they were on offense.
I've been looking for this for a while. Now, we've seen people get this proxy spot before, but the rest of #OU is actually in position to capitalize on it.
Okay.
And that excites me. This 8-line presence with Abrasive backing him up, that's huge. Everybody piled over there in the D3 line. They have multiple angles of fire. We can take one quick look at it. Let me see if I can get over there. Now, you can see from Valera Desolator's position, he's looking around this berm. Game is Rigged is looking around his own berm. That's 2 tanks ready to fire in the same area with Valera Desolator in tons of cover. This is how you control the courtyard and make your opponent pay for every inch of it. #OU is looking real strong right now. Their biggest weakness being Putin and Valera Desolator in the 2 line. As long as they have prepared responses to get away from this, and with an Azrael and GeForce a collapse on them, #OU is still in good position, but eLevate clawing their way back in already.
Absolutely, Arclight just dodging those shots left and right. A lot of red going across. A little bit of damage as they go into Valera. Might have been earlier. Now, David, I want to talk about Dark God up on top of the hill there, his presence. I mean, how much does he have to, kind of help his team, as Abrasive is going to be the one he's going to go up against? I mean, obviously, maybe I shouldn't say obviously. Can he 1v1 Abrasive? Can Dark God Zim in his tank 1v1 Abrasive, a T37 against an AMX 5100?
Oh, of course not. I mean, if a
That's what I
5100 is clipping and a T37 starts shooting him and sets him on fire, yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, T1s have done that in the past, and that's before your day, so we won't worry about it.
Before my time.
But what is the problem here for Dark God Zim is he left his post watching the 0 line before he saw Abrasive coming after him. He's going to find out real soon here that Abrasive is way closer than he wanted, but a great scouting run showing only his turret and hatch.
Man.
Abrasive intelligently did not fire on it, as you do not waste shots in a 5100. He understands that now there's somebody on top of the hill. He's rolling off. All he was concerned about is seeing if he can get that angle to fire into the G line against eLevate there. He can't, so he's retreating. Just not a waste whatsoever on his side. Dark God Zim barely saving his own bacon there, because if he had not, Abrasive almost fit into it perfectly in between 2 scouting runs. If Dark God Zim had not gone and spotted that, he would have gotten eaten for lunch by Abrasive. But so what you were bringing up, can a T37 face 5100? As we've established, no. But the idea here is that T37 sees him coming and then runs away.
Okay.
And that's
the
all,
information.
That's all he needs to see.
Sure.
Now, eLevate capitalizing on what they saw here, bringing GeForcer on top of the hill to try and fire from the spot that we saw Abrasive on before, and fire down on what they think is probably going to be Eclipse and Game is Rigged. But where those positions are, where those 2 actually are, you can't. You can't hit them.
Okay.
But you can control the D-line, and that will prevent people from backing up Godzilla mode and a couple other things. But it's not a huge strategic win. It's not ultimately that important to #RU here, and it could open up a weakness if #RU is able to get underneath where GeForcer can fire and just push onto eLevate. They're already at an HP lead, and they'll win. They'll win because the tier 8 is completely out of the fight.
Wow, but Game is Rigged. Taking a little bit of damage there, so increasing, eLevate trying to claw back the HP lead from #RU, but #RU doing a good job of maintaining it. Some shots going off against Arclight. Kazo finally in that T37 doing some damage, doing a little more than proxy spotting now. Godzilla mode and Abrasive. Looks like they're in a great position. MRLE now going at C37. His teammates got to help him out, or he's not going to be in a good position. There it is, the response. Eclipse and Master Putin getting some good damage onto Arclight there in that IS-3 coming across. Kazo not looking like he's in the best position. He's just got to hunker down in that corner. Hopefully #RU can respond and do the best that he can. But over here on the northern side, Godzilla mode being dropped extremely low. Azrael, though, 1 more shot away, and he will go down. Abrasive getting the shots against him. AMX 100, who still has 4 more shots left on him, but is now down to 2 minutes remain out of the 7 for this battle. #RU on the defense. Emerly finding Kazo. A good pickup there in the courtyard for them. But Valera Desolator landing some shots up on top of the hill, trying to force Dark God Zim and GeForcer to not come down. He is now on the reload, as well as GeForcer, Abrasive, and Godzilla coming around the corner, finding Arclight. A great pickup there for Abrasive, and now Azrael extremely low. 1 more shot from Abrasive, and he will go down. Let's see if he can pick it up. Static, Amarlee and Zone Delta coming around to try to help him out. Dark God Zim, that T37 now pushing down the hill as Game is Rigged, and Putin Going to try to back up thing, and the fight shall ensue quickly. A little bit of cap pressure coming on, but he's not going to stay. He's just going to keep going because they know that the fight is here. Abrasive coming back to respond. Godzilla mode taking a little bit of damage. Abrasive turret turning to G-Forcer. He is reloaded before his opponent, and now damage is coming across here. One more shot going in, 310. One more here going down. Abrasive finding G-Forcer, but Zone Delta going to respond by gaming his rig. It is now a 5-on-4, 5-on-5, excuse me. Now it's a 5-on-4. Max at Putin picking up static. Azrael extremely low Godzilla mode, trying maybe to find that one. Valera Desolator finding Zone Delta. That's going to be another pickup, and Master Putin finding it. Hashtag are you doing a great job on defense as just 2 tanks remain for the side of eLevate. A great pickup here. Amar Lee in that 5100 running back. Dark Gut Zim doing a good job picking up Abrasive, but Godzilla in that IS-3 finishing off. And one more shot will take it down. Let's see who's going to find it. Eclipse does. Hashtag are you getting a 5th victory against eLevate. Getting 2 wins on the offense on Himmelsdorf, 1 win on defense, and hashtag are you doing a great job. I mean, just finishing this one out. Let's talk about this because this was going to be the battle of the Titans, and we were saying that eLevate needs to hold on to this, this victory, this undefeated streak that they have, and hashtag are you needs to continue this victory streak that they're on. And I mean, hashtag are you doing a great job. We've had 2 upsets now. We've had eLevate go down and 07. So 2 undefeated teams have now become defeated, leaving just Refuse, if I'm correct.
I mean, so far the entire season's been interesting along those lines. I mean, hashtag RU and eLevate going relatively equal on Ruinberg, and then you move into Himmelsdorf, and hashtag RU breaks out the broom and sweeps the whole thing all the way up. eLevate, I mean, we're seeing Arclit and Eclipse play in the same match. We see eLevate, last season's winners, go down to hashtag RU, the previous season's winners.
This is crazy.
What a time to be alive.
It's a good day to play tanks. I mean, but let's, again, just kind of highlight for me, wow, when you see a team like hashtag U be so definitive on a map, I mean, is that them just doing their homework? Is that them just having a fantastic line? I mean, what...
The addition of Arclit of Eclipse is clearly up their game more than they already were. They just put the rest of the league on notice. We are not to be trifled with, and we're coming back. That's what everybody now heard, and they should be scared. I'd be scared of that. We don't really have time to get into the stats and everything. All I'm going to say is Valera Desolator did 2,300 damage in his 5,100, which is pretty absurd. Both 5,100s for eLevate would top the damage. All the IS-3s are what got locked out. Because like I said, hashtag use positions were amazing. Their rotations were perfectly timed. It just...
well done. I mean, looks like hashtag U wants a repeat of Season 4 to be the victors.
2 steps ahead of everything. 2 steps ahead of everything.
These chess masters. Well, like Dave was saying, hashtag U putting a big target on their backs, but also saying, hey, we're stepping up. We're here to play as they 5-2'd eLevate on Himmelsdorf. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for our 3rd match. Up next, our 4th and final match of the night, Noble versus Team Refuse. Team Refuse being the last team being undefeated. Let's see if they can hold on to that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And now with their plans to discuss how to get themselves back to the top of the standings is Ben Mongeon, a.k.a. Comps, from Team Noble. Thank you for joining us, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
So you're currently sitting in 9th after a roller coaster start, losing 2 close games against the highly experienced High Voltage and eLevate. Then you clean swept Lamp with a 5-0 victory. What is your approach to dealing with your next opponent, the undefeated Team Refuse?
Our approach to deal with this is more prep. I mean, we practiced a lot before the season started, and we decided to test ourselves with High Voltage. We thought we did relatively well on Himmelsdorf, but they completely wrecked us on Mines. So then we just practiced more and more, and then that showed when we faced off Lamp, when we 5-0'd them. Now, we thought we were doing relatively well going to eLevate. We think we did reasonably well on Himmelsdorf again, but then when it came to steps, we just choked. We weren't prepared for it, and they outplayed us. So going to face off with Team Refuse, we're just going to practice more. We've recently made a new addition in the roster change period. We've added Friction of former Fnatic glory, and I think he's just going to step up and help us out to deal with our team issues.
And historically, your team has always done well on city maps, and Himmelsdorf is currently your strongest map this season. Are you finding any ways to incorporate your strong play into other non-city maps, such as Mines or Steps?
Yep. I mean, Himmelsdorf is a map that we've played since Season 1, so all our 742 experience has somewhat carried over. Now, for the new maps and the rotation this season, we just feel that we need to put work in, prep a lot, practice. And if we put the same amount of work in that we've put into Himmelsdorf, then our results should show.
Has your team been feeling any pressure having taken over the Noble sponsorship that the Googly Boppers dropped last year? They also seemed to struggle once they became Noble.
Nope, there's no pressure whatsoever with being sponsored. The Noble guys have been really nice to us. They've been helping us out, but they've been pretty much leaving us to do our own thing when it comes to playing World of Tanks. So we don't have any other commitments than to play our own game and do the best we can.
Well, thanks for joining us, Ben. Best of luck to you.